he can fly down that sideline, and somebody's going to be making sure that they're on him. And Guidry obviously can throw the ball. He's had some good success here since he came in relief of actually the #1 rated quarterback in the league, Greg Freeman, who won't be #1 for too much longer after the final stats come out after this game. 3rd and 1 from just shy of the 15-yard line of New Orleans. Monroe is to the right. In motion is Harris again. Guidry, short throw. Actually too low, it looked like. Missick was in on the coverage, but that ball appeared too low for Harris to come up with.
You know, we need to point out in this league, when it's 3rd down and 1, in this league, we need to point out when it's 3rd down and 1, that's 75% pass. So 1 yard, it's not as infrequent as in the NFL. If you saw an offense throw for 1 yard in the NFL, and if it was incomplete, believe me, Monday morning, that head coach would be in another profession. I think he'd be on the tennis court. But in this game, that's arena football.
All right, Morales will be ready for this field goal attempt. Banks is back deep. It's blocked again, and it's going to roll out of the end zone. Again, we've got to point out that kicking game, as Dave Wyndham told us earlier, it's been an extension of the offense.
Now, let's remember, no one touched that ball, so that ball goes out as the defense's ball. The last one touched it, and that's a safety for 2 points. That goes on the scoreboard. Now, if we remember earlier in the game, if you touch it on the offensive unit, it becomes a touchback. That is a safety and a score. And the person that scored is Luther Johnson. And Luther and I got a chance to talk earlier today in the elevator, and he's a fan of the old WWF. And when he's home, I tried to figure out what everybody was doing, chopping their arms up and down. It's called a bushwhacker strut. So we might see Luther doing a little bit of the bushwhacker strut, and everybody back home who support the Cleveland Falcons, they can bushwhacker strut right along with him in front of the television. I know I'll be doing it.
They gave the safety signal, but there's no points up on the board. It's still 14-9, but the kickoff is being taken by Morales, so they've got to change that. The last score, by the way, from Harris to Harkness covered 16 yards in total. The drive, 4 plays, 45 yards, and it took them all of almost 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 51 seconds, and now they have put it up as a safety, 16-9. So it's a 7-point lead for Cleveland. 4:08 to go in the 3rd quarter of play. Morales kicking off. Banks deep in the end zone. He's going to have to get this off the nets, and he does. Banks with 3 blockers in front. Brings it up to about the 13-yard line. One of the difficulties about playing it off the nets, obviously you've got your back to the players coming down that are trying to get you, and the lights here are a problem as well. You're looking up into a glare into that netting, so it's not easy.
But here's an interesting point. Notice the 3 men around Banks in front of him off the net. They call that the diamond formation, and what it does is it protects his back, because there's a 5-yard perimeter rule, but 5 yards is about a step with a 6'5" man. It really doesn't really help.
Cleveland will have the ball when we come back. They've got the lead.
All right, fans, check those pins. Swings. And things. There's no place like it. Bet 1,000. Make par. 2 awesome courses. 2 great tracks. Lead the pack. Pack it in. Power boats. Power scores. Do it all at Swings and Things. Just minutes from Great Northern. Take I-480 to Stearns Road exit. Go south. Swings and Things. There's no place like it.
We were just going to McDonald's. How can we be this lost?
We're not lost here. We're in.
Look! The Batmobile!
Gotham City!
Follow it, Dad!
Now you can find the Batman Hamburger Happy Meal at McDonald's for an amazing $1.99. You get Catwoman, Batman's launching Batmobile, or the Penguin. 1 toy with each Happy Meal you buy your kids.
What you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
And you thought we were lost.
16-9, the lead belongs to the Cleveland Thunderbolts, and they're showing some signs of life here in the 3rd quarter. That last pass, 16 yards, Harris to Harkness. A reminder, the Thunderbolts come home Thursday, July 2nd, against the Detroit Drive. Tickets are on sale at the Coliseum and all Ticketmaster outlets. Harris on a first down play. Saw the blocking break down and decided to take it himself. I don't believe that was a design play. It looked like he just looked up and saw a little hole and decided to go for it.
You know, when you have a player of Harris's talent, obviously, as an instance last year in the Detroit Drive game, an ensuing fumble from behind the center, he turned it into a 12-yard touchdown. So, obviously, what Coach Dave Winham's put in is some option plays where he can either run it or throw the ball, and that's definitely going to work to the Thunderbolts' advantage.
In motion is Banks. Harris on the drop back. Some good blocking. Open man, complete. Newsome, his first catch of the day, and he makes it count to about the 15. But there you see what Harris can do when he's got the blocking, and he had some there.
You know, everyone's waiting for Harris to make a big play. And when you sit around on your heels on defense, there's two things that can happen, and both of them are bad. You know, that's an old defensive cliche from Floyd Peters back in my Detroit Lion days. And as we see, they are basically, New Orleans are basically trying to play it safe because of Harris's running ability.
Major Harris. Now, this time it looked like that was designed for the run. On the keeper to the 10 and inside. Major Harris with some blocking on that right side. You know, it's tough to want to say a sweeper on the right side. I don't know if there's enough room to sweep. We've got an injured player for the Thunderbolts. Trying to make out and see who that is. Thought it was Andrew Marlin. It looked like 89. You know, it's interesting. You have a 25-second clock here between plays, and yet after every play, Harris has time to go over, talk to Winham, and he still has time left on the clock to get it going. It is Marlett that's down there on the floor. Andrew Marlett, a lineman.
2 points. Coach Winham is the first coach in any league that I've ever heard of who admits I call the plays 100%. So, folks, what does that tell us? That tells us, like last week with the misdirection touchdown to Ricky Newman, great call by Coach. But the next time when someone calls a play and it's going down the field the opposite direction, we also know who to look at. And I'm sure Coach Winham is very comfortable with that. Now, the injury we see with Marlett, I can tell you from my experience, it may appear that he's limping, but he's also got his hand on his hip. Guys, let me tell you, the worst injury in football, it may not be a major injury, it's called a hip pointer. And when you're on the offensive line, it's usually one of your compadres whose elbow hits you right on that funny bone.
Brian Williams. Brian Williams has come in to replace him. So Marlett is on the bench.
This is the original drawing that spawned the idea of arena football. It's actually a manila envelope that I pulled out of my briefcase on the 11th of February, 1981, while I was watching my first indoor soccer game in Madison Square Garden, New York City. And as you can see, it's fairly crude, but there's a lot of notes on it. You can see the little sketch of what the nets and the goalposts look like.
Imagine designing the game on that piece of paper and what it's become. 16 teams they'll have by next year. New York and Chicago will even be in. In motion. It goes on a pitch out. McKinnon, great cutback. Brings it inside the 3. Great individual effort by 42 Cedric McKinnon from Bethune-Cookman.
I think the importance of this play is you have to understand Cedric McKinnon is 6'3", 240 pounds. When you see a guy throw a nifty move like this, watch how he plants that foot, boop, goes the other way, doop, makes a miss. And then stiff arms, looks like Gale Sayers there. And I can tell you one thing, he's probably going back to the huddle going, oh, he had me by one leg. I was almost in there.
That's a great individual run by McKinnon.
You know what I'd do? I'd give him the ball right back because he's fired up. He's probably breathing fire right about now.
Well, let's see if Harris feels that fire. He feels the need to call a timeout. Remember, you get 3 per half. I believe that's the first one that Cleveland has used this half. They used all 3 in that first half of play. This is important, too, because it's a 16-9 lead. We can talk momentum all we want, but if you come down and you don't score, that's something else. If they could get 7 points here, 26-9, that might be, I say might be, because this is arena football, it might be enough to win.
Well, we just saw a big difference, and we can't call it whether it be a negative or a positive, but Major conveyed to me today that we don't have any audibles. In the NFL, let's per se, in Cleveland, Bernie Kosar would have walked up to the ball, looked at the defense, made a sign over at the coach, and noted, that's not a good play, coach.
A reminder that this Friday night on Fox, join host John Walsh in a manhunt for America's Most Wanted, and then tune in for the premiere of Michael Jackson's newest video film, all coming up on Fox 19 Friday night.
Hey, JP, I wonder what Michael Jackson would be like in arena football with all his moves. What do you think?
Well, assuming he gets into the end zone, I think it'd be spectacular. Right now, Cleveland doesn't care who gets into the end zone. They just want to get in there. They've been there before. They lead it 16-9 from the 3-yard line. The give up the middle. Cooper is in. Touchdown. Cooper, George Cooper, number 34, took it in from 3 yards. That's all power up the middle.
3 yards in a cloud of dust. And, you know, you have to establish that when you're 3-4 yards out. You know, it lends a defense confidence if you have to throw from the 3 or the 4 yard line.
That's Cooper's second 3-yard touchdown run today. That one probably feels a little bit better because he did fumble the ball earlier when the team was in scoring territory, and that could have been a big score at that particular time. All's forgotten, I'm sure, by this point, as Drennan, out of the hold of Bobby Bounds, looks for another point, puts it up, and it should be good. It is good, an extra point, so it's 23-9 now. Thunderbolts, and Drennan has been as close to automatic as you would expect a kicker, a good kicker to be. Chris Drennan, number 15, was 88 for 90 on extra points in college at the University of Nebraska. But as we told you earlier, he's been the most accurate field goal kicker and overall kicker this year in the entire Arena Football League. So now we'll see if the Cleveland defense can come back and reestablish themselves and keep this team at bay. That last drive, 6 plays, 37 yards in 3 minutes and 7 seconds. In the finale, a 3-yard touchdown run by George Cooper.
Well, let's be honest here. Someone has to break the rubber match, because last year when the Thunderbolts were still in Columbus, they were beaten badly, 47-15. And Mickey Gidrich threw for a record 14 out of 22 passes for 234 yards in this game. So I'm sure Cleveland still remembers that. And the game that they won earlier this year was preseason. And I know as a former player, preseason really doesn't count. You know, they pull the starters out of there. So I think this is the game that the T-Bolts want to establish themselves.
Well, they could be 3-0 and on top of that Northern Division all alone if they can win this one here tonight on the road. A big test, their first road game of the 92 season. Searcy at the end zone line. Takes it to the 15, 20, 25. Drennan forced the fumble. Oh, no, they're going to say the whistle blew. Or maybe contact out of bounds with the ball. But Drennan, you may remember in game 1, if you went out to that game, made a touchdown-saving tackle. And right there, he might have done it again or pretty close. There might have been another guy that could have made the stop.
We might have jinxed Drennan, you know. We might have jinxed him, and we asked him about the difference between the NFL and here, and he said that no one's assigned to him. So as we see here, one of the advantages in this league might be to put a man assigned to the kicker, because he's made 2 valuable saves. He in the wall.
Big return, though, of some 30 yards by Searcy. The offense needed that. If they had to start from their own 10 or their own 5-yard line, might have been tough. 23-9, the Thunderbolts are leading it here in New Orleans.
He's in Manhattan on Wednesday, Frankfurt on Thursday, Paris, Rome, and Vienna after that. He believes it's better to do business across a table than over a fax machine. This year, he'll fly more than 100,000 miles with us because he knows nobody understands him better than we do. At Delta, when we say we love to fly and it shows, this is where it shows.
Intrigued? We thought so. Wildwood, you'll love how we let things slide. 10 minutes south of Great Northern Mall.
Dear Wendy, I'm really enjoying my summer vacation. Yesterday, I did some fishing and then cooked dinner over a campfire. But luckily, there was a Wendy's nearby where I was able to get a junior bacon cheeseburger, baked potato, salad, and biggie drink, and it didn't cost much because everything on the super value menu is just 99 cents each. Tomorrow, I'm going to try windsurfing. Love, Dad.
Maybe not. Wendy's Super Value Menu, the best place to spend your summer.
There are people out there who manage to enjoy fine dining, even without the benefit of Nouvelle cuisine. We know we make their beer. Smooth Miller High Life, since 1855, the classic American beer.
Stud.
2 hot guys.
I wanted her right then and there.
Yes.
Stud.
3 sexy ladies.
Stud.
6 wild dates.
He'd love to take on all 3 of us at once.
Stud.
The last word in dating.
Weeknights at 11 on Fox 19. This portion of Thunderbolts football on Fox 19 brought to you by Colders 29. New Colders 29 and 29 Light. Cold aged at 29 degrees to seal in smoothness.
A reminder that Fox 19 has the best lineup of shows Thursday night starting at 8 with The Simpsons, followed at 8:30 by Drexel's Class, and then at 9, Beverly Hills 90210. It's on Fox 19, and it's Thursday night. Fourth quarter just starting. 15 minutes left to go. Let's see if Cleveland can pull this one out on the road. Guidry on the drop back. Completes it. Wide open was Wiggins. Takes it to around the 14-yard line. So Wiggins found some room. Brian Wiggins on the near sideline, number 15. Bowman helping on that stop defensively.
You know, that was the result of when you try and run a zone in such a narrow field. I mean, the field can only be broken either into halves or quarters. And when you're dealing with 85 feet, it's not the same as the National Football League. So you're better off going man. That's what the better teams do.
Guidry with a 2nd and 3 from about the 13-yard line. The give, it's a fumble. Robertson did a great job just to get it. He never really had complete control of it. That could have been disastrous.
That was a fumble. That was a fumble that was in favor of the Cleveland Thunderbolts because they had the left end hook, as you can see here. The left guy's hook, and the motion man gets a good block. They have the corner. Look at this block. See, they had the corner.
You're right. Good point. Not a lot of room on that sideline, but there was some open space.
Well, there's always the wall.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can get up on top of that and run. If that's legal. I'll have to ask Jim Foster next time I talk to him.
Guidry on a 3rd and 6 now. Big play coming up for New Orleans.
Oh, there's a tackle.
Flag is dropped, and so is Guidry. Bowman was in there on the stop, number 1, as well as Cedric McKinnon, 42.
Hey, I got to tell you, whenever you see a guy just go down like he's been shot, Bruce Clark, he's no man for offense. He's a great defensive lineman. That might have been what would have happened to me if I tried to play arena ball. As you can see, watch Bruce. This is a takedown. 3 points for Bruce Clark. They'll catch that every time. If you're going to hold, you got to hold like some of the guys who's got moxie. They hold inside. You can't grab a guy up around the shoulders and body slam him. That's wrestling or Roman Greco.
Let's get the call. Holding on both sides. So they'll offset it, and the down would be played over, so it'll be 3rd and 6. That's interesting. What I was going to do, though, was compliment the Cleveland secondary because even though there were 2 men on Guidry, no one was open. He had nowhere to throw the ball, even to dump it out and avoid a loss.
Yeah, and Big Bruce is going, shoo. Thank you. Because that would have been his 2nd of the day. And when you come in as celebrated as him with National Football League experience, you don't want to be the GOAT. But Bruce is playing good football.
Well, there's some kind of a beach ball on the floor. Looks like a big globe, and they'll wait to get that out.
Well, one of the New Orleans fans felt that the New Orleans Knights was having a difficult time holding on to the ball, so they wanted to give them something a little bigger to hold on to.
You know that's not a medicine ball. That official's a lot stronger than we give him credit for. Nice kick. R.G. Detillier is your referee out on the floor. As we told you earlier, 5 game officials call arena football. 3rd and 6, whistles from everywhere. I think because of the debris, I see something out at the 20-yard line, and that ball came back out.
One time is okay.
Well, you know, they call this game in your face. So when you throw a ball or debris on the field, it's not the same as at Cleveland Municipal Stadium. You're actually interrupting the field of play. I don't think the fans really want to be in that predicament. They're just having a good time. I don't think they necessarily mean for the ball to go on the field. But, I mean, as you can see, that ball, as I can see from here, it's a globe of the world. So they got the whole world right here in the Superdome, literally.
Less than 13 minutes to go in the game. Guidry will bring him out. It's still 3rd and 6 from the 17. In motion, Wyatt Harris. Guidry drops back. Another flag is down. There must be a hold in the secondary. That's about where the flag was dropped. But is it offense or defense?
Well, what happens is that means that somebody had contact beyond the 5 yards.
Well, the officials will all confer. Say this could be a critical call because that's a 3rd and 6. If it goes against New Orleans, it'll bring up a 4th down.
Yep. Illegal contact. Oh, wow. Now that's an unusual call there. Illegal defensive formation. That probably means that one of the linemen was wider than the perimeter, or Jill, as is referred to, the weak side backer, probably left the square. Any of those numbers of things is one of the rules that they try to contain. They try and save the quarterbacks.
Well, it's going to be a 3rd and 3 then from the 14, and another flag.
Flag, no play.
Before the ball was snapped. So all of a sudden, we're seeing a lot of flags here in New Orleans.
We got another illegal defensive line call or something?
Before the ball was snapped, though.
Offside.
Offside. Contact, maybe. I didn't see it.
Well, that
Somebody
would be encroachment. But we're seeing the rules difference here. We're all going to learn something here.
That's 3 yards. It's very close now to the 1st down. But again, in a league where 75% of the plays are passing and 25% running, 3rd and 1 doesn't necessarily mean a run.
I think in this case, though, New Orleans realizes the only way for them to maintain any kind of momentum, they've got to go out, and this is 3rd inches, they've got to go out and make sure that they establish with the Thunderbolts that they're trying to establish a run game. But the clock is in the Thunderbolts' favor.
All right, Guidry. Maybe he'll take it himself. They had tried a quarterback keeper earlier. He does. Oh, no. Maybe with that second effort. Let's see what the official spots it. Yeah, he was stopped initially. That's a good effort from Guidry. He was stopped maybe even for a loss of a half of a yard at one point.
Well, that shows you what his experience has brought for him, because a young quarterback would have basically tried to get out of there and get out of the way of harm's way. And he knew if he kept his legs going, he might just find a little seam, which he did, and sneak through it. That was an important play there.
Keeps the drive alive.
Well, let's note one thing. They can't make a 1st down now.
Guidry with Wiggins in motion. Straight drop back. Block. Oh, whose hands were those? It looked like number 98, Ricky Newman.
Now that's
got in there.
That's 2 deflections and 1 blocked field goal. Ricky's having himself a good game.
Ricky Newman goes at 6'7", 280 from Western Illinois. Big hands that time. Right time, right place for Ricky Newman.
All right, here's a second time he gets up there. Hey, he looks like Michael Jordan. I tell you, I wish I looked like that when I was at 280. Nice and slim build. So that means the kid's all muscle. And he's got a good vertical jump.
He showed it there. 2nd and 10. The pass, nope, dropped by Searcy. A late flag, very late flag. I thought play had stopped. I saw one of the field players signaled face mask. But let's let the official tell us. Cleveland has done well in this one. Whenever you're the visiting side and can put up the lead like they have right now at 23-9, they're doing business. Sounded like holding on Harkness, or I shouldn't say sounded. The mic's not working. I read lips, but that's what it looked like from up here.
You know, defensive backs, they have an awkward position in the fact that if they think they're beat, they don't know the quarterback's looking another direction. So in a desperation situation, they normally just reach out and grab him. They would rather see their team attempt 4 more downs than to see a guy running into the end zone untouched. And I can't condone that play, but that's something that goes on in both leagues.
1st and 5 from the 5 to get in. 1st and goal, and the pitch out. Wiggins with speed, can't make the cut, and then he disappears into the boards. And then another flag. Maybe for some after the play contact. But Wiggins on that scamper around the right side end. Wiggins is 5'11", 185 out of Texas Southern.
Well, if you notice there, JP, that was a cute little wrinkle. That was a receiver, the motion man, who's been going zigzag or who's been going completely in motion. And what they did was they timed the snap and pitched the ball out to him.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense.
That hurt. That's a composure call there. You can avoid getting a personal foul outside of play. Notice this little wrinkle. He comes around. Now, that's purely a timing play. But receivers, they are kind of in lost territory when there's actual contact involved up front.
Guidry barking out signals. The give. Should be a touchdown. Robertson is in. Put up 6 points for Kent Robertson, so New Orleans making it closer with 9:44 to go in the 4th quarter. Now, Morales looks like he's lining up for the standard 1-point extra point attempt, which would bring the lead down to 7 if he gets it. Out of the Wiggins hole, I thought he missed. He did. A tough miss for Morales on the extra point. And now what it really means is that New Orleans needs 8 points just to tie.
Well, you do know that it's possible. They can score a touchdown, and Morales can come back, as he did last week, and kick a drop kick. So it's possible.
23-15. See if it'll happen when you come back with us.
It's the Dodge Spring to Savings Spectacular, so step on it.
Cash back now.
Get $500 cash back, plus air and no extra charge on select Caravans.
No financing now.
Get 0% financing or $1,000 cash back on a roomy Dodge Spirit.
Big savings now.
Own a loaded Shadow ES for only $10,363, thanks to $1,000 cash back.
Drive your best Dodge deal right now.
So spring to savings at your Dodge dealer today.
If you love pizza, we've cooked up a winner for you. Play the lottery's brand new game. They call it Instant Dough. Scratch the ticket, match 3 amounts, and win up to $3,000. But there's much more. Tear off your stub, scratch off the pizza, and save up to $25 on large and medium pizzas at Pizza Hut. Play Instant Dough, Ohio.
Just a simple punch-in by Robertson from only 1 yard out, but it was the end of the drive that covered 6 plays, 30 yards. But look how much time out they took, 5 minutes and 15 seconds. It doesn't seem possible that they took that long, but there were a lot of penalties during that time. And then finally, the 1 yard touchdown run. But we still have 9:22 to play, and in arena ball, that's a long time.
In arena ball, 22 of that 9:22 is a long time.
Last week, 2 touchdowns in about a half a minute off of kickoff, so anything's possible. Here's Morales kicking off. Banks has to watch it off the net. No, it goes through. Touchback. Well, if he had done that on the extra point, it would have been good.
I bet he'd like to swap those 2 kicks.
What would that have been? A 58-yard field goal had it gone that way.
Let me point this out here. The difference is with that 9-foot wide field goal, which is 15 feet high, an extra point's not a given. I mean, that's 13, 14 yards away, and you're kicking in half the width. Now, if you're Bill Belichick of the Cleveland Browns, most of your kickers train with a 9-foot wide field goal, and they're quite used to it. So we're seeing a big difference here.
This is a big possession here for Cleveland. Harris came out of the pack somehow to about the 7 or 8 yard line. They need to if they're not going to score, at least eat up a good part of that clock. But the one thing they can't have is what plagued them in the first half. They can't cough the ball up deep here.
But let's take a look at what we have here. What we have is an option, and Major made something out of it backwards. That's what you call going into it backwards. But that's what athleticism can do for you. Anybody else, I know if it was me, I'd be down. That's a great play.
A premier athlete. The word athlete, look it up in the dictionary. You might find this guy's picture in it. In motion was Harkness. Harris has to run for his life. A flag is dropped as he throws long for Harkness. He's got it at the 10, but it may come back.
Well,
a flag was dropped.
What happens when it's in the backfield. Yeah. It's either a holding or an illegal block. In this case, I think it was a block in the back. I'm looking at, let's talk about this for a minute. Whenever you see a player rip his helmet off or the player talking to the ref, he's the guilty culprit. And in this case, I think it's Luther Johnson.
That's tough because Harris runs for his life. That's a great ball to throw. He's scrambling to the other side.
Well, this is a great Fran Tarkenton reverse pivot move and a great relationship. You can tell when your receiver goes to the same side that the quarterback is scrambling, you can tell that that's something they've worked on in practice. When they go opposite, that means the quarterback's got to throw across his body, and that means they're not working in correlation with each other. That was a darn good play.
That's a good comment. So Harkness is reading his quarterback and helping him out.
Exactly.
Well, there is some ad-libbing then in arena football. The receivers told us in arena football they've got to run their patterns quicker, the passes come quicker because of the nature of the game, the confinement, etc. But there was one time where Harris was scrambling and he got help. He's in the end zone. He comes out to the 5. Great tackle. Monroe, number 26, in on the stop. That is a great tackle. Harris had some room had he not been taken down there.
And taken down he was. That's basic football. Monroe came up. Watch Monroe come up, and he's going to square his shoulders. He keeps Harris in front of him, and boom, he goes right through his hip. No matter what kind of move an offensive player throws, his hip never leaves the ground. So he can do everything he wants with his head and his shoulders and his feet, but his hips are still going to stay parallel to the ground.
A big call here at 3rd and 9 from his own 6. Harris on the drop back, throwing it complete to Harkness at the 20, 25, bringing it close to the 20-yard line of New Orleans. Big play by Major Harris and number 80, Harkness. Big play.
Well, the one thing we don't need here is a penalty. We don't need one of those conduct penalties. So you can do something about those. That was a great play by the Cleveland Thunderbolts offense because they came out of a difficult situation. Their backs were against the wall. And here's a perfect example of knowing who you're playing with.
That would have brought up a 4th down situation. So a great play. Here's the pitch out, and Cooper goes to the right to the 20. Near the 15-yard line goes Big George Cooper, who's already made 2 touchdown runs in this ball game.
As referred to back home in Cleveland, Coop. When you get a 260-pound man, it's fine. It's fine, okay, if you're going east and west, but as you can see here, watch Cooper turn his shoulders north and south, and you got trouble. And you know, he's wearing number 34. I remember once encountering the number 34 for the Houston Oilers, and my chin still has the 6 stitches to prove that I didn't make the tackle. Earl Campbell, a Hall of Famer.
When you said 34, I could see Campbell running. Harris with room if he wants it. Now throws. Dropped. Or deflected is a better word. Beck was right there. That would have been a tough catch for Banks.
That was Major's opportunity to run that one. He had an open field. But as you can see, and as he told us earlier, being patient. Here, he's got lots of room here. He's got a defensive back who's committed. I'm sure he could have gave him a juke and gotten up the field, but he's making wise decisions here. He chose to go to the receiver and throw it to Robert Banks as opposed last year he would have run that.
He paid the price too because Monroe tagged him. In motion is Harkness. Harris with a fake. He's going to run all the way to the 15. A flag again. And the way New Orleans players are clapping, I believe it's going on Luther Johnson, 55.
A little holding. That's Luther's second call. I'm sure he doesn't feel real good about that play right now. That was a fine run by Majors.
Yeah, that was a design play for Harris to take it.
We can see here Majors got a little bit of running back in him. That's a nice, boy, I tell you what. I tell you, both my ankles would be in ice right about now.
He's got some nice moves.
Well, you know, you don't become the runner-up 2 years in a row to the Heisman Trophy in this country unless you got some nice moves and a nice arm, and he was just that.
His numbers in college passing were superlative, but so were his running numbers.
In a sense, it went against him.
I was going to say that because then people think maybe he shouldn't be a quarterback. He's dropping back. A lob. Oh, it's intercepted. Nothing on that ball. It is picked off by James Jones, and time will tell how big an interception that was.
We talked about this earlier in the broadcast. When you make those kinds of plays, 2 things out of 3 things can occur, or out of 3 things, and all 3 of them are bad. And in that case, Major should have eaten that ball and taken the sack. Now here's what we see here. We're seeing exactly what Major saw, and he put that ball up there on the rope and threw off his back foot. A veteran quarterback won't make that decision. Take the sack. So what? It's still your ball.
When he watches that on replay later on, he'll agree with you. There's a fumble. It's still loose. Cleveland looks like they've got it. 2 Cleveland players fighting with it. Cooper was one. Maddox will get it. Marvin Maddox, number 44 from Kansas. Very big turnover that time, and Cleveland plays it in their favor.
Talk about snake bitten. I mean, these guys are having. You'd almost think we're in the Boston Garden and the Thunderbolts or the Celtics. I mean, that's the luck of the Irish.
Leprechaun, right?
Yeah, that little leprechaun. I mean, the ball just somehow they lost the ball in between the center snap transaction. That's the second time that's happened today.
Harris should have been the first guy embracing Maddox because Harris is the guy that he knows he shouldn't have passed that ball. Now he gets another chance.
Another thing it points out the fact that Guidry hasn't been back from the World League long enough to get familiar with the center. He's only been back from the Sacramento Surge just under a week.
Yeah, just a few days.
And when you see a missed snap like that, that means that the quarterback has not taken enough repetition from the center. He hasn't gotten used to the way the ball comes to him.
Cleveland has called a timeout. They've called a timeout on the floor. They want to talk things over. They lead it 23-15 and have another opportunity to score.
Dear Wendy, summer vacation, week 2. I'm having a great time taking a lot of photos. I went to Dolphin World with some new friends. Afterwards, everyone was hungry. Luckily, there was a Wendy's nearby. We had junior bacon cheeseburgers, Biggie fries, Frosties, and Biggie drinks. I treated, because everything on the super value menu is just 99 cents each. And Miss Smarty, I finally broke 100. Love, Dad.
Hey, mister, that's my ball.
Oh, sorry.
Wendy's Super Value Menu, the best place to spend your summer.
Work, rest, play, beer.
New Colders 29. Cold aged at 29 degrees. To seal in smoothness. Beer after beer.
Work, rest, play, Colders.
New Colders 29 and 29 Light. What else do you need?
Cleveland with a 23-15 lead, and the timeout on the floor gives us the chance to take a timeout and remind you of the return to the Coliseum Thursday with the Thunderbolts, July 2nd, when Cleveland takes on the Detroit Drive. Kickoffs at 7:35. Tickets are on sale now at the Coliseum and all Ticketmaster centers. Watch for $3 off coupons in the Cleveland Plain Dealer. Great opportunity with a killer instinct to put New Orleans down and almost out. There's still a lot of time left with 4:09 to go, and remember, they'll stop the clock when there's a minute to go in this game, but they could get another bigger lead here. That's 23-15, 8 points. It would be 2+ touchdowns for New Orleans, depending on what Cleveland does with the extra point if they score. Harris to Cooper to about the 3-yard line. It'd be ideal, Al, if they could score but also burn up some of the clock, but they don't have too much farther to go, so it doesn't seem likely that they could burn that much.
This gives us an opportunity to talk about an instinctive trait of big backs. Coop's gotten into the end zone twice today. And as you just saw, when you see a 260-pound running back diving forward like that, some coaches like Bear Bryant would refer to it, he smells the end zone. And when you get a 260-pound guy smelling the end zone, you've got problems. If I were on defense, I'd swap with him and give him a burger or something. But, I mean, when you got a guy of his magnitude wanting to get into the end zone regardless, you got a man that's determined, and nothing's going to stop him.
We had a Cleveland player down, and now we see Brian Williams, 88, getting back up. And he is apparently okay. Remember, he came in for Marlett.
Right.
You're allowed to substitute one player or once per player in the quarter.
I just kind of touched on that. When you got a 260-pound running back diving, anybody underneath him, they take the blunt. Instead of the turf, it's usually the person on the bottom. And I think in this case, Brian Williams was underneath the pile.
Cleveland will have a chance, 2nd and 4 from the 4. Reminder to stay tuned following the game for Studs. That's right, television's most outrageous half hour, hosted by Mark DiCarlo. I don't know what says that we're the lead-in for Studs, but we'll join that game in progress.
Uh-oh, he's smelling the end zone.
Almost there is Cooper, within probably less than a yard of that end zone. Clock ticking down at 3:29.
I'm sure Brian Williams went back to the huddle and told Coach Wyndham, please tell Coop to stay on the ground. Don't go airborne. That's for your small guys. You're 215. The only other big guy I can remember was Sam Bam Cunningham.
I remember him. New England Patriots, yeah. And 215 may be small to you, but not to me.
Yeah, well, I mean in retrospect to the game.
Absolutely. Harris looked like a broken play. Can he get in?
He got in.
Very close. I don't know if the ball got over. They're going to say no, I believe. Did that look like a broken play to you?
No, you know what it looked like? It looked like the old Oklahoma, old Nebraska, where you put it into the belly of the fullback and you pull it out trying to draw the defensive end to you. I think that's, in fact, what the play was. Did you see Major Harris stiff arm that defensive back that came up? Now, that takes talent.
Well, they're going to make his progress to about maybe the half-yard line. They're going to say it's at the 1. This is a 4th down, though. But they are using up some of the clock. I was wrong. 2:27. They've taken off about a couple of minutes here. But they like to get the points. They're going for it on 4th down. Harris took a bump. Some daylight. Can he get in? Yes! Harris is in for the touchdown. Great individual effort. And talk about smelling the end zone. The nose was in there.
And he just threw the ball the length of the field. Talk about enthusiasm. Now watch this play. This is a broken play. Now he breaks it. He goes the opposite direction, and you got a poor lineman. I'm sorry, Mr. Wise. Mr. Wise is trying to catch Major, and Major in that instance took a little note from Mr. Cooper, and he was smelling the end zone. Now he needs to smell some oxygen, because look at that face. Major's like, oh, well, that was a great effort.
That run has sent some people to the parking lots a little early.
Yep, there he goes again, changing direction. And anytime you get a lineman against a guy, Major Harris isn't. Well, there's the wall again. Hello, Major.
Ouch.
But once you score, that wall means nothing. It's kind of like if you got a bruised knee or injured ankle. If you win, it doesn't hurt as bad. But if you lose, oh, man, you can barely walk the next day.
4 plays to go only 5 yards. But the big stat besides the 1-yard touchdown run by Harris was the fact that they took 2 minutes and 20 seconds off the clock. And it was hard to imagine that being possible at that point. They were so close, but they used the clock very well. Drennan for the traditional extra point.
Traditional.
Whatever that means in this sport. Which is really, about 18 yards away. Right through. Drennan has been perfect. I'll tell you, he's one kicker that has not let his team down. 30-15, the Thunderbolts have doubled the New Orleans Knight. They got off to a good start tonight, unlike their previous 2 games. Then there was a lull there. Something happened, Al. But then, as you said, that second half, they kind of regenerated, got a little more charged up, and made things happen, forced their own breaks.
Some teams, they realize they're second half team, and it works against them. But the other side of that coin is when you're a second half team, you go in knowing in full that it's the second half surge that wins the game. So if you're down by a lowly 3, you're telling yourself the whole game, hey guys, we're a second half team, and they better be ready. And in fact, that occurred. But later on during the course of the year, what happens is you meet a team who plays a good first half and a good second half, and you get too far behind to come back. So you don't want to rely on being a second half team, because eventually you meet your match.
A reminder that this Friday night on Fox, join host John Walsh in the Manhunt for America's Most Wanted, and then tune in for the premiere of Michael Jackson's newest video film, all coming up on Fox 19 Friday night. What a nice way, though, for the Cleveland Thunderbolts to break in here on Fox 19. This is our first telecast. We hope you're enjoying things back home in Cleveland. I know Dave Wyndham is enjoying things right here in New Orleans, but there's still 1:59 to go. We've seen a couple of touchdowns in other games in a quick amount of time. Dave Wyndham's not going to count this in the win column yet, but he's got to feel very confident with 1:59 to go. But watch out here. A return kickoff could change things in a hurry.
And there's also those 30-foot wide and 32-foot high nets. That adds a whole new dimension to this game. Not only can that net count in the kicking team's favor, but in the receiving team's favor if it plays off the net and it sucks your kicking team to one side of the field, as we saw almost occur on the last kickoff when Drennan had to make the tackle. I would look for someone to block Drennan on this particular kickoff.
And it only takes about 5 seconds probably to run it back the entire length of the field. So you're not burning much clock. Oh, what a time for a kick. Drennan put it right through from better than 50 yards away. That's a small target.
58 yards to be exact.
That's a small target.
I bet
9 feet.
He's going to go to the sideline and say, yeah, I knew I was going to do that.
Yeah, I aimed for it. Well, normally, as he told us before, he'll tell his team by where he lines up the ball which net he's going to aim for. That's a heck of a shot. I mean, I know there's no wind here, obviously. We're indoors, but that's a great shot to put it between those nets. And he says he doesn't look at the nets. He doesn't want them to intimidate him. He keeps his head down. Guidry has really got a job to do. 30-15, his team down by 15 in the end zone. The throw to Searcy, Banks. I thought there could have been interference the other way on Searcy.
Oh.
Now there are flags.
Oh, yeah. See.
That's frustration.
Yeah. See, Searcy's too good of a ball player for that. Now what Banks needs to do is walk back to the huddle and smile and not feel like he has to retaliate, because it wasn't really a hard kick. It was a frustration kick. I don't think that was Banks. I think that was... Oh, that wasn't Banks. That was Andre Giles making another big play. Actually, that ball was interceptable. Now what Mr. Searcy's done is he's given his team an additional 3-4 yards to go. And that's not exactly what they need. Now, if you take a look at Andre Giles, he's inside, and he's letting the sideline be his additional man. Not a very good shot here, but as you can see right here at the end, the quarterback has to throw a perfect ball, and he did, but to Andre Giles. Now, Searcy's a little upset at the coverage, and he gets up, and he kicks Giles. And when Giles goes back to the huddle and says, hey, I'll take that every time, guys.
So now it's first down and 13 from his own 3. Guidry and a whistle. It's got to be some kind of an illegal formation again. I mean, the ball wasn't even snapped.
Now, you want to hear something funny while we got a little time here?
Sure.
Now, the coach of everything that's gone wrong for the New Orleans Knights, the coach will take something like Searcy kicking Giles, and he'll point it out, and he'll say in the meeting while everybody's watching, he'll say, guys, things like this we can't win with. And if you're in the shoes of Giles, you feel like you lost the entire game.
Well, Vince Gibson will be looking at the films of this one and probably not liking a lot of it. Guidry on the drop back, throwing it long. He wants Wyatt Harris. Oh, both guys were pushing off. That might be a good no call. Missick was there and looked like shoulder to shoulder all the way with Harris and Missick.
I think there's a little more liberty in this league if you're going for the ball. Well, let's be honest here. You can't really force the guy out of bounds. If you force him in bounds, you might as well give him a box of popcorn because he's in the stands.
Guidry in the drop back, almost nailed. Oh, a great rush, though, that time by 88 Brian Williams.
One of the team leaders in sacks. Quick off the ball, real quick.
There's a flag down, though, apparently. Let's check it out. Guidry is going to the bench for a consultation. Talking things over on that far sideline. Well, I don't know what you can diagram now. You're down 15. There's a minute to go. Obviously you need a quick score. That'll give you the 6 points. That'll give you 21. You're still down by 9. You go for the maybe the 2-point conversion at that time, and then you still got to get the ball back. So it's hard. But in this league, because of some of the creative ways to score and the shortness of the field, you can put points up in a hurry. But the Cleveland defense has been very stingy here in this half, giving up only that one score. They were down 9-7 at the end of the first half. So Cleveland has come up with
a great defense.
20, and 23 points offensively. Only allowing 6.
Wow.
Guidry completes it. Wyatt Harris at about the 15-yard line. Should be just enough for the first down. And again, they should be stopping the clock. It's still going.
Big Bruce just got away with another 3-point takedown over on Brian Williams. He just got away with another great takedown.
Times are tough for New Orleans. They just lost 9 seconds at least.
Yeah.
Clock stops on the completion with a minute to go, and I'm sure they're going to be talking to one of the officials here about putting it up in the clock. I think at least 9 seconds, very close to that. Let's see what they're going to put up.
Well, let's talk about one thing here. In a field of this length, there is no prevent defense. That's for certain. So you go man or you go tight zone the entire game. Otherwise, you'll be standing in the end zone, and the guy will be catching it underneath you for 6 points. So that adds another element to this game. There is no prevent. Now, on a 100-yard field, you allow a guy with 56 seconds, you can let him catch 10-yard passes.
Short passes.
Use up 15 seconds of crack, and the game's over. In this case, you let a guy catch 15-yard pass, another 15-yard pass, and he's in your end zone.
Al, they've given 5 more seconds up on the clock, so it's 56 seconds. And I think it might have been even a little bit more than that, but 56 is what they're going to get. Not a lot to cheer about tonight in New Orleans, unless you're a Thunderbolt fan that made the trip. Guidry, almost intercepted. That one, I think, was too easy for Ricky Newman.
I think the scary part is Ricky Newman is our tight end. No, I think, when the ball comes at you and your train of thought is kill, 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 to catch, that's a finesse thing. You don't think kill the ball. When the ball comes at you, you think relax and catch it with your fingertips. And Ricky's train of thought was completely different. And there's another element that shows you the difference, how fast you have to switch back and forth in this game.
Guidry, 2nd and 10 from the 15. Wyatt Harris was in motion. The pass. Wiggins has got it. And he's taken down at the 25 by Missick. And again, the clock stops. Well, tempers are short here. But New Orleans will be 0-3 after this one.
And Ricky Newman did what all defensive linemen do when they miss an interception or a sack. He took it out on the quarterback.
Cleveland, won't you burn my?
There's a throw from Guidry, and is it complete? What a catch by Wiggins, and then he met the boards. Well, if they can hold on to this one,
a little audio,
it'll be 3-0. In terms of the Cleveland Thunderbolts, they'll be all alone in the Northern Division. Everyone else will be at 2-1. They'd go to 3-0. Cincinnati, Albany, and Detroit are all at 2-1. Vince Gibson looking on and can't like what he sees. He's got to like the way Guidry came in and took charge of the offense, but still, they moved the ball but didn't get the points. Only 15 on the board compared to 60 a week ago.
What does that say, too?
But defensively, they've cut the points allowed in half. Ball is complete now to Wiggins. Remember, last week they gave up 64. 30 seconds left. Ball will be at the 11-yard line.
Shows you what kind of confidence. That shows you what kind of confidence coach has in Guidry. Here, Greg Freeman last week scored 60 points, 6 touchdowns, and now he gives way to Mickey Guidry. So what that does tell you is that we're going to see the New Orleans Knight at the end of the season somewhere up there because they've got 2 potent passing quarterbacks and they've got an arsenal of receivers. So you're never out of it when you've got 2 great quarterbacks and 3 good receivers.
Well, we might have a quarterback controversy in arena football because Freeman was the #1 guy, and it's tough to go from #1, not on your team, but in the league, to the backup maybe in a week's time, but that could be the case next week. Ted, this is a good way to start, though, a road trip, because this is a stretch of 3 straight games on the road for Cleveland. They'll play in Tampa Bay and in Albany before they come home to face Detroit. A reminder that this Thunderbolts broadcast is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any use, rebroadcast, or reproduction of this telecast without the express written permission of the Cleveland Thunderbolts, Arena Football Incorporated, and Fox 19 WOIO is prohibited. With Al Bubba Baker, I'm John Paul Della Camera. If you're a Thunderbolts fan, you've got to love the way this one has gone. Dave Winham certainly does. It's a 30-15 lead for Cleveland with only 30 seconds to go in the game.
You know, that's the part I like about Coach Dave Winham. He's personable, and, you know, he's really, really involved. And the thing that he's been trying to do is he's been trying to stress to these guys, this is a game that should be played with zealous and enthusiasm. And look at him as a coach. I mean, every time you look around, first of all, in this league, when you're a coach, you're really in the action. I mean, you're on the field.
You're on the field,
you
yeah.
can see if a guy's dogging it, or you can see if a guy's almost there. Another thing I'd like to point out, in this league, I wouldn't want to be the ball boys. As you can see, they're within harm's way, too. So it's a very personable game, and so is Coach Dave Winham. Good luck to you, Coach, because I tell you, he's put a lot of effort in this.
30 seconds left, 30-15. Cleveland with the lead. Guidry straight back, throwing it into the end zone. A receiver fell or was helped. There are the flags. You make the call. That'll tell you the story. Wiggins looking at Giles.
I think they need to realize the fact that Ricky Newman got that big 6'7" arm up there, and that was a deflected ball.
Meaning what? That it was not catchable?
No, it had been interfered with.
Okay,
so the defensive player can interfere with the eligible receiver. Right now, see, that's really not a pass interference, but I'm not a referee. And at this point, let's take a look here. Watch Ricky Newman. He's going to get a piece of it. See, he changed the rotation of the ball. So now you can make contact with the defensive back. And having been a defensive lineman, you know when you see the change of that spin of that ball, it was a spiral, and then when you touch it, you see the change. Referees need to be more cognizant of that fact.
30-15. Cleveland with 26 seconds left to go. Guidry straight back.
We got
it's
movement.
Deflected again. Intercepted by Missick, and he decided to run it out. Got out to the 1 maybe, but was there a flag down before?
That's called the law of averages. Ricky Newman didn't get credit for tipping that last one, so one of his compadres said, hey, I'll get this next one.
Well, that sends the rest of the people to the exits.
We're not leaving.
No.
This is fun.
The rest of most of the people. No, yeah, you're right. This has been a fun night. It's a different kind of football. You can score from anywhere.
And now this time I think it's, oh, that was a helmet. Hey, but see, when you get hit in the head by the ball like that, you're supposed to go over and say, hey, I meant to do that.
30-15, only 18 seconds are left in this game.
This should be a kill play. There's Major in that classic I'm hurt jog.
Well, now a flag dropped to the 10-yard line.
You know, Major looks like a football player, doesn't he? His jersey looks like he played in an arena football game.
Seems to love this league. All the players we talked to today, by the way, very personable. I think the Cleveland fans, when they get to know these guys, are going to really like them. Good athletes, but good people off the field, or so they came across this morning.
Oh, God. That
Look
was
out. Yeah, that could have been something, right? I mean, if he fumbles there and it's a touchdown, you're only losing about a second, and then you kick off, and anything could happen there.
You know, there's an old play that they made it famous back in the old days of the Fighting Irish. If they were winning a game and they had like 15, 20 seconds, they would literally snap the ball to one of their runners like Major Harris, and they'd have him scramble all, run around in the back of the end zone, and just as somebody was about to touch him, he'd run out of the end zone. He'd give him 2 points, and then the time that it would take to line up, kick the ball off, regain field position. It looked like a goofy thing to do, but what it did was it got you out of that dangerous side of the field where we are. And this would be a good time to do something like that. What's 2 points going to do? Give them 2 points and kick that ball and give them 48, 50 yards to have to go. Because right now, there's a couple of bad things that can happen to you. I know as a coach, I'd do it. I probably wouldn't be here on Monday. But
well, the number one thing right now, protect the ball. You don't need any points. You don't have to get fancy with it. Hold the ball.
It's
Second
easy
and
for us
6.
to say that up here, isn't it?
Very easy. Harris takes it outside. That'll kill some time as he brought it out to about the 12. Now the clock is, well, it's still going for another second. Somebody's slowing the trigger here in New Orleans, not doing the night too many favors the way that clock's going.
Look at Major. Look at Major. Major looks like, boy, what a day it's been. There's a guy who's earned his $500 today.
Well, you can see the Major.
Look
and
at
the rest of the cast.
Look at that job. Look at that job.
They'll be back home July 2nd on Thursday, July 2nd at the Coliseum. They'll meet the Detroit Drive. Kickoff is at 7:35. That's the team that Dave Winham helped out as an assistant coach. Now, for some reason, they let the clock run out, and everybody is shaking hands, and this one's over. How did that happen?
Well, I think what the referees determined was by the time Major got back to the huddle with that major job, they said, yeah, it'll be over.
I know I read the promo and looked down, but they couldn't have snapped the ball.
No.
Well, Dave Winham getting congratulations. It's a big win anytime you win on the road, but more importantly, they're 3-0 and all alone on top in the Northern Division.
Makes a difference in your decision. You know, what kind of plays you call. We might want to make note of the fact that Coach Winham said the big difference from last year to now.
We need a break.
We need a break.
A McDonald's break.
Yeah, a Big Mac.
Fries.
Yeah, large fries.
An ice-cold medium Coke classic.
Yes.
I get a Big Mac sandwich, large fries, and a medium Coke, all for just $2.99.
Oh, give me a break.
Right now at McDonald's, you can get Batman Returns on a dramatic series of superheroic collector cups, topped off with flying frisbee bat disc lids straight from the movie, because what you want is what you get at McDonald's today.
There are a lot of folks out there who aren't searching for themselves. Somehow, they never got lost. We know. We make their beer. Smooth Miller High Life. Since 1855, the classic American beer.
Intrigued? We thought so. Wildwood, you'll love how we let things slide. 10 minutes south of
Yes, Hyundai.
In the beginning, studs were one-dimensional manly men, mostly brawn, very little brains. Today's studs, however, come in a variety of styles and can show their strengths without tenderizing their bodies. Women seem to approve of the way studs are evolving on the show with the same name, Studs.
Weeknights at 11 on Fox 19.
Welcome back, everyone, to New Orleans, where we're wrapping things up here, just doing some final business. 30-15 is the final score. The Cleveland Thunderbolts win for the third straight time this season. Great second half. They scored 23 of their points. We're going to take a look at 2 of their scores. We'll watch Cooper on a short run, getting the give from Major Harris. Little momentum now settling in for Cleveland as they score here in the fourth quarter of play, or in the third quarter of play. Cooper just bullying his way through one of a couple of touchdowns that the big running back from Ohio State had during the night. And then it was left up to Major Harris, who, by our unofficial totals, show him with 53 yards rushing, and we're told that he was named the most valuable player of the game. Harris led that second half surge in which the 23 points were scored. Harris went in on a very good 1-yard keeper around left end. He was scrambling to get into the end zone, and that was really the cushion, the one that probably sealed the fate of the New Orleans night in that particular case. So 30-15 is the final score as we wrap things up here in New Orleans. We hope you've enjoyed our telecast tonight as the Thunderbolts go to a 3-0 record. To my partner, Al Bubba Baker, my thanks to him. I'm John Paul Della Camera. We bid you a pleasant good night from New Orleans, where the Cleveland Thunderbolts have won it 30-15. A reminder to stay tuned following this game for Studs, television's most outrageous half hour, hosted by Mark DiCarlo. We will join that show in progress. So long, everyone, from New Orleans.
Thunderbolts football on Fox 19, brought to you by Swings and Things. There's no place like it. Wildwood Water Park. You'll love how we let things slide. McDonald's. McDonald's restaurants of Northeast Ohio. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. Colders 29. New Colders 29 and 29 Light. Cold aged to 29 degrees to seal in smoothness. Wendy's. Check out Wendy's great super value menu. 9 Wendy's favorites priced at just 99 cents. And by Ohio Lottery. Join in the winning. 300,000 winners every day. Play Ohio Lottery.
The Cleveland Thunderbolts and the New Orleans Knights battle in arena football Monday night at 8:30 on Fox 19.